Hi again, everybody. This is Jamie Allison, and this is the Big Idea, Big Moves podcast. This is the destination for high performers. We talk to people from different genres, different niches, just people doing really cool things in their space that hopefully we can take bits and pieces out of their story and their journey and hopefully translate them to our own lives as well. And we have one of those guests today. Just before we jump into that, wanted to, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that we have a relationship with Theresa. And we all know that sleep is a big key to whether it's building muscle or improving athletic performance or just increasing productivity at work and with other things. Sometimes winding down and getting good sleep can be a really difficult thing for some people. And so Theresa has a PM recovery collagen that can help. It's all natural, so it's a drink powder. It's got nutrients, amino acids, all those things that support good quality sleep and muscle recovery. And there's no melatonin or sedatives and things that can get you hooked or make you feel groggy in the morning when you are going to work or into your gym. So definitely check it out. If you go to Theresa, so THIRDZ or ZY.com, and use the code BIBM20, and you can get 20% off as well. So check that out, and hopefully it will work for you as well. And so you know that we talk to athletes, we talk to lots of people. Today we have a really cool athlete that we're going to talk to today. Theresa Ivancik is a professional female bodybuilder, and it was with the IFBB Pro League. She's a fitness model, an entrepreneur, and in 2022, she was the Indy Pro champ and at the Olympia, which is, for those people who don't know, is kind of the Superbowl of that sport. She placed 7th in the world, so really cool there. And she's on the path again, after qualifying for the Olympia, and hopefully we'll talk about some of those cool things. But she also is part owner in Harlan's Elite Fitness, Harlan's Elite Customs, and is a certified personal trainer as well as an online coach. I know she's taking a bit of a break from that right now to do some focused stuff on her training. So we'll talk about that. And she has been featured in everything from Muscle and Fitness, Amazon magazine, to films, TV commercials, lots of podcasts, things like that. So a busy person, Theresa. So thank you, first of all, for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Well, I mean, maybe the first thing is just talking about, I understand that, like a lot of people, you kind of struggled with what you wanted to do at a certain point, and just wondered, did you kind of stumble into kind of the bodybuilding thing? Was there something that kind of triggered that? Well, that's something I really want to do. Just tell us a bit about that journey, about how you got here from that end.
Okay, so I actually was doing a Q&A the other day, and somebody had asked me, did I have a second dream outside of bodybuilding? Well, bodybuilding was never really originally like in my plan. I obviously, through all the stories, I've been bulimic for 7 years, and I was in my parents' basement. I was on house arrest. Like my life was just in crumbles. I had PFAs that I had to file. Like it was just a really dark place. So I basically, with bodybuilding, like I found it through the Oxygen magazine. And, scrolling through, I was like, I really like how those girls look. Even though I was bulimic, I still figured, you could do it. So I was working at a local gym, was told to go see Jeff Harlan, who now is my fiance, because he is the only one in town that did shows. So I went to see him. He told me I needed to eat. I left. I ran for 7 years. Like I was like, screw you. I'm not doing this. So I did a lot of research on my own. I made it. My first goal was to actually do a bodybuilding show the day after I got off of house arrest. So that's really what started it. It kind of kept me focused, kept me positive. But bodybuilding kind of just led its way for me. It dug me out of the hole. It relieved me from all my depression, my eating disorder. Like it taught me a lot about myself and discipline and really what I wanted in life. Because bodybuilding, yes, it's the gym and it's a physical appearance, but it's so much more mental than anything. Mm-hmm. So that, to me, it saves millions of people. And from then, I mean, you tell people to do one show just to see if you like it. And I'll tell you what, obviously I was addicted because, 17 years later, 31 shows in, in through the NPC, then the IFBB, and then, all the other opportunities I had in the middle. That's pretty much like the whole background with bodybuilding. There was no plan B, I guess. Like I kind of just fell into it and then fell in love with it. And then honestly, it's been awesome because these people just jumped on this journey with me, and I wouldn't be here without them. And I mean, we're going back from the original MySpace and Body Space and,
Yeah.
my old YouTubes and things like that. So people have watched me from when I was almost like a child to where I'm at now. So it's really cool to see the people that stuck with me, the people that I've gained along the way, people like yourself that I get to meet. So it's been a very, very amazing journey.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that it's a more common story than a lot of people think, as in
Hmm.
people kind of find their way there because it gives them something that helps them kind of direct focus and things like that. And maybe I will ask, because there'll be a lot of people listening that are have struggled with an eating disorder or something like that. Did you know that you had that problem at the time, or is it something that it's like, okay, when I finally did figure out that I need to be able to do some things with my nutrition and things like that, that it kind of changed things for you, or how did that work from your end?
So this is ridiculous and it should have never happened. And if it does happen, anybody that's watching, like just know that you're better than what, people will say to you.
Yeah.
Growing up, there was a kid, he was extremely heavy. He was like 250 to 300 pounds. And one day, my mom babysat him. We were all swimming in the pool and he made a comment that I'm getting chunky. And it sat with me so heavy and so deep. And I can't tell you why or how it did, but to me, that's what increased that eating disorder. And in order for me to get out, I did it for 7 years, and it was like I think I got to a point where I didn't get professional help. I was sick and tired of the cycle I was living, and being strapped that way. So that's where, the bodybuilding is like, you get up, you train every day, you do your cardio, but it was missing the piece of the food, and the food is the fuel. And
Yeah.
you watch yourself at a certain weight. I was like 110 pounds, very, very skinny, didn't have much muscle tissue at all. And you
Yeah.
knew after a while that wasn't the look you were looking for. So my theory, with all my clients is if something you've been doing has not physically gave you the results, it's time to do something different. Because you're comfortable where you are, you have to try something different. Even though you're scared to do it, you have to do it. And that's where, I decided, I said, I need to eat. And then I started to feel better. Like you have
Yeah.
energy and then you can train better. So it's just trusting to do something outside of what you're comfortable with.
Now, the other question that goes with that, because then when you did start to, obviously get more muscular and all of those things, there are also other people that, don't understand that from that end, and probably like more so at that time. Have you seen maybe, first of all, is that something that you did, like, was it challenging for you from that standpoint early on? And have you seen kind of change in that, especially I think for females in the sport?
It's back then, yeah. I mean, we were either small or big,
Yeah.
and I don't want to say we were looked at like aliens, but you kind of were because people didn't see it very often, not as often as you see it now.
Yeah.
So, when we were in the store, yes, I would have females come up to me, and it's because I carry myself a lot different. I don't act like a hard ass. I am very approachable, so I don't get a lot of negative, comments and things. But
Yeah.
you did get them in the beginning. People didn't understand, why you wanted to look like that. I would bring my magazines to like some of my workplaces and people would draw little bubbles saying nasty things coming out of her mouth, but it's because they didn't understand.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the same thing as like the whole world is filled with all kinds of different sports, from basketball, football, hockey, and things like that. Maybe I don't like one of them. Maybe you don't like one of them. But if we had all like the same thing, it'd be a very boring place. So we all need to have something different that we choose to do and choose to excel in because that's what makes us, I think, each person individually unique because we each, again, want to do this to compete. And then we stage, you could categorize us all in a different category, but we're all still training. We all still go to the gym. We all still eat, and we all still stand on stage. It's just what we choose to do with our own anatomy and how much we choose to pop it, or how big we want to get, or what our genetics are allowing us to do is where we fall. So it's a very tight niche, fun community because we're kind of all the same, but we're different.
Yeah. So obviously you've been in lots of shows, but I'm assuming that I know that Olympia was probably a big goal for you. And when you did finally kind of get on that stage, maybe that's just a question is, what is that like the first time when, for people in that sport, that is the penultimate thing to do, is to be able to make it there, I guess, the first time. What was that like the first time you stepped on stage there?
There's I mean, it took 10 years to get my pro card, and then it was like 10 years to get a pro card. And then
Yeah.
I get into my pro league and I'm a pro female bodybuilder and I win 3 pro shows. Like it was like, okay, I struggled at the amateur ranks and now like boom, 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 we're there. But
Yeah.
my first pro win was 2019, which did not qualify me for the Olympia.
Hmm.
It only qualified me for the Rising Phoenix, which was our world championships back then.
Yep.
Well, in 2020, with all that mishap going on, I did win the Chicago Pro, and that what I think what sunk in was then,
Yeah.
like when I won the pro show, because you knew you've reached another notch in the ladder that you've originated that goal from. So when you went to the Olympia, it was like it's the same setup as another show. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But it's the prestigious show, it's the biggest show. And I think what hit me the most is, I think the morning, the prejudge is not on the big stage. It's in the expo. So that was a little weird to me. But the when we went to the night show, and I think when I did my routine and I turned around and I saw the O in front of me, like that's what I think what sunk, because you're like, I made it. Like I went as far as you possibly could go in this sport, no matter what you place, it's just an honor to be able to step on that stage with all the greats. I mean, so that to me was I did what I came to do, and honestly, I don't want to say that in the beginning I ever said I wanted to make it to the Olympia right away. I just wanted to compete,
Yeah.
and you have to be realistic with your goals, because there's a lot of people that instantly say that they're doing their first show, and then all of a sudden it's like the next goal is I'm going pro, where you haven't done enough. You haven't like put your time in. You haven't got your feet wet. You're not comfortable. But people start to get greedy and they say, "I want this, 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 and this, and this." And you just have to just follow your heart and follow your goals and let it happen. Don't rush it. This isn't supposed to be like this massive marathon to the end. It's just enjoy the journey. While you're doing it.
And how hard, because there is a lot of work that goes into this, and I think I mentioned earlier that for a while you're kind of stepping back from having online clients and stuff like that, because obviously you've got to focus for the next little while. How difficult is that when you've got obviously not only training, you've got kind of sponsor stuff, I'm sure you've got just all of the things personally you want to do yourself. I mean, you're lucky that, I guess, your relationship is very connected to what you do, so that helps in some ways. But how do you try to balance those things, and how much does it differ depending on kind of what kind of season you're in your sport?
It does get hard. It gets challenging. It gets frustrating because I am tied in with a lot of companies,
Yeah.
and I am forever thankful for them. The list is endless. So I do try to put as much content out, so that is your own thing. Then there's my own social media. I do run the business. I still do take a few people that I have in house. I do have online still. I just haven't taken anybody new.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to work on this book because we're trying to intermix a book. We're speaking at the college. We have a couple other motivational speaking things we're doing. I had a couple movie interviews, things like that. Like I have a documentary I'm still filming. So
Mhm.
with all of that, you try to do whatever you can in a day. Like right before
Yeah.
we called, I had my appointment and I ran out and did the grass real quick because I was like, I'm just one of those people that I'll fit something in like wherever I need to. But because I had to get it done,
Yeah.
but it's just like I also want to enjoy life a little bit. We love the Harley.
Mhm.
He likes to go out to the bars. I bring my food with me in the Tupperware container and off we go and we are able to have life. But there is a lot of bickering and arguing and fighting, that does get involved because we can't just pick up and leave, like we used to, because it's like you have to train. Did you do your cardio? Is your food prepped for the next day? So it's just finding the time and balancing it out the best you can. I do tell people, food prep's the most important and it is very hard. So I pick a weekend. I cook bulk, like 30 pounds, 20 pounds, chicken, fish, all
Yeah.
my rice, all my vegetables, those all get cooked. They get portioned out in Ziploc bags and thrown in my freezer. It's like a vending machine. And then I just will do my food for 3 days and then eat and then just reload. And trust me, it
Wow.
saves so much time.
Yeah, I mean that part is interesting. I think for a lot of people is especially at that level that how much preparation you have to do. I guess the other side would be that if you're if you're doing that, is that difficult to do to track those things, or is it something that for now, like because you've been doing it for so long, are you is it pretty much second nature for you to be able to put those together and know what you're doing from that end now?
Like food wise, like putting all
Yeah,
the food together.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's and even in the off season, if you want to go out to eat and you're like, okay, well, I had rice at this meal and it was only like this amount of ounces, you can kind of gauge like the swap of if I wanted a potato or if I want
yeah.
to add a salad. And you start to get more acclimated to like, okay, this is 3 ounces, this is 4 ounces, or I had a little bit more here, so I'm going to back off here. You really start to just because you don't want to get crazy sloppy if you do have other things going on. If you do have a movie role you got to go to or like some type of commercial or whatever, you still want to be, you know, in a good spot, and I want the newcomers coming up to know that this isn't a free for all when you're done with shows to go eat whatever you want because you haven't had it. You can honestly have 1 to 2 cheat meals a week. You could stay on track. I was just speaking to somebody about this the other day. Stay on track for the first 4 meals. Have a free meal for 5 and eat your 6 like you usually would. So that's the easiest way to do it, but you just have to think smart and you have to do it within portion ranges.
And when you set, because I'm assuming, well, maybe that's a question, is are you a goal setter for kind of all things in life? Is it something that you like, do you write things down? Do you
Oh
do that
yeah.
in different areas? Yeah, I assume that you kind of
Yeah.
have to be.
I'm
And so
very OCD.
okay. So when you do you do that just for kind of, I want to achieve these things in your sport, or do you do that generally for other things as well? Because you're involved in so many other things in your life as well.
It's every day. I mean, it's post note city in my office because if I don't, and the notes on my phone, I mean, they're ridiculous because, but there's long term things that I want to get done with our house. There's long term things we want to do with the business. Then there's my daily stuff and that I need to do for the business. And then there's myself, like what do I need to accomplish? I need to stretch. I need to do my cardio. I need to do my night routine. Like there's things that I like to see it on paper because it's easier that way and I will more likely do it. And I like to cross things off, but sometimes they don't get crossed off, or if you
Yeah.
cross something off, something else takes its place. But it's again going back to that balance. But yes, I have lists everywhere.
And
So,
you've got a lot of things going in businesses and things like that. I'm assuming that isn't the first thing you had to learn a lot of how to do those things. How do you do that from your end? Like how do you keep up with and learning some of the other things that are just new to you outside of your sport? Because business is business. You still have to learn how
mhm.
to run things. So how did is there
Yes.
something that also was like difficult that maybe you thought, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be?
So between Jeff and I'm more of the secretary, hands-on. We got a problem, you figure it out. I quit college. I did not know what I wanted to do. I was in general studies. I had, I think, Spanish and art I needed to go to, and I couldn't do it. I was just like, I'm done. So I quit. And then when we started opening these gyms up, it was like, okay, figure this shit out now. Like,
Yeah.
just if you want to run your business, you have to learn yourself. So when we got the software for the memberships and stuff, that was just me just figuring out stuff, making phone calls, like because at the end of the day, when you own a business, there's nobody to call really but yourself, and you're
Yeah.
like, figure this out. You got something's wrong, So I mean, I did do a lot of self-teaching, and I really do think that that's probably the best way is to, no, I don't want to say learn the hard way, but I do want to say for you to learn, it's so much easier. You're going to know stuff better. You're going to not make those same mistakes, moving forward. We are looking to expand. That's been put on the back burner because of everything going on.
Yeah.
But I have a full list of everything I do not want to do that has already happened at this place. Just things that can make our life a lot easier, moving forward. But yeah, I mean, you have to. I mean, I'm more self-taught than anything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's I think any entrepreneur listening, because we do have a lot of entrepreneurs who
Hmm.
listen, they would totally understand that. Because even if you do have a certain
Hmm.
amount of education around it or something like that, it's never the same until you actually start doing it. So,
Yep.
um, maybe another question that goes along with that is, and this is in business and other things. It's probably more in your sports background. Is did you have do you did you have mentors as you kind of came through that? I mean, obviously you have coaches and things like that, but did you have people that I kind of you look up to or that you learned from as you went through this process?
So when I was like just getting started and we were into that body space type thing, that was when
Yeah.
Jamie Eason and Monica Brandt was like really big. So I started with them. And then the original person that I thought I like kind of like looked alike and resembled was Alina Popa. And I would follow her, I'd watch her videos, and I would try to mimic everything that she did because she was the person I wanted to be, you know. And then it was really cool when I got to like meet these girls and we went to this mansion. There was 10 of us. We did a reality show together. Alina was in there, Hella was in there, Linda Murray, all these big names. I just turned pro, get the invite, and I didn't think I was good enough. Just because like I was just like, I'm just me. Like I can't go there. And Jeff's like, you're going, you're going. So I mean, meeting her, I mean, all the girls were like a dream come true, you know, because these are people I've idolized and I've watched already be on the Olympia stage, you know, or watching the World Championship. So I remember when Alina was in, I think it was either Rising Phoenix because we didn't have the Olympia yet. And I remember messaging her in between the shows and saying, you know, you got this, you look amazing. And it was just crazy because like it's like times have flipped, you know, and you're being able to there to help and motivate the person you looked up to, you know, for a very long time. But I mean, my pap has been in this sport kind of like just learning as he went. He passed away at 91, but we did our first bodybuilding show together. So when I was in figure, I moved to women's bodybuilding in 2010, and I got him on stage at 83, doing bad to the bone routine and in running shorts because he refused to wear Speedos. So we adjusted that to make sure that was okay with everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he seeing him in the gym at 83 doing what he did, like, I mean, that's he's also a huge inspiration to me. Yes.
Yeah, very cool. And yeah, you mentioned it there that you actually switched from kind of figure into bodybuilding,
Mhm.
and that, from what I understand, also came from feedback. I think at the time, maybe two questions is one, was it difficult to kind of make that transition? But the other thing was, was it hard to get that feedback? Like some people wouldn't take that feedback and would just kind of continue and do what they're doing. But obviously, it created change for you. What was that situation like for you?
I think like when I moved, there was actually no bad feedback. I mean, I literally was tiny. I did fit the figure category, but
Yeah,
it was to the point like I think like when I was with Jeff and we were training over at the gym, I was like, you know what, I just want to train. I want to let my genetics do what they want to do, and I just want to train. So, and this, I was still technically running the bulimia, like over cardioing, like
yeah,
with the figure. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let myself go and I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat, you know, what I want to eat. And then it was like 120 to 180 pounds, you know, and that was a big,
yeah,
big ordeal for me because like I was never that big, you know, but that's what originally like just started it. I didn't get the feedback that I needed to go that route.
mhm,
I knew that the figure division at that time was very saturated. There was like 25, 30 girls in that show, and women's
yeah,
bodybuilding, obviously, there was not that many. So I wanted to enhance myself and just let my genetics do what they want to do. I wanted to train, I wanted to have fun doing it. I didn't want to like keep myself doing endless things of cardio and eating like a bird. I wanted
yeah,
to teach myself a little bit more and learn about the food and the fuel and stuff. So no bad feedback. It was just kind of like where your heart wanted to take you. And then when women's physique came out,
yeah.
I like made a post. I was like, I'm never opening my hands. I said my fists will be closed at all times. So I did end up going over to gamble there because I was told to try women's physique, but I'm a complete hands closed female bodybuilder.
And maybe people have obviously followed your career for a while, Theresa, and have seen kind of that change and all the good things that have come, especially recently. Um, is there something that people wouldn't know about you? Because people always have a perception of you from probably when they hear you on podcasts like this, but when they see you and see you on stage and things like that, is there something that you think would surprise people about them about you if they met you outside of kind of you competing?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm pretty like forward like with my posts and stuff. I'm just the most humble, down to earth person that you'll ever meet. I do get a lot of that, like whenever I'm talking to somebody and I do meet them at shows, and then they will make this huge post about it. And to me, it's like it's special, but it's just like I'm just being me. You know what I mean? And we are very humble, so we don't look at ourselves any better than anybody else. But it's just I'm living my dream. I'm sharing it with the world. I'm here for, questions. And, I talked about it before, is there are people that do climb the ladder and they will look down on you and they won't give you the time of day. I'm the one that'll climb the ladder and I will reach my hand down and pull other people up. So that is kind of like what, most will, I don't want to say they'll be surprised about it, because I technically, like, a lot of people are afraid to ask me for pictures and stuff, at events, thinking they're bothering me. You guys are not bothering me. I mean, this is what I signed up to do. So I enjoy every bit of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And maybe, that leads me into the one thing that we ask everybody when they come on the show is that a couple of tangible things to take away. And I'm sure people have got tons of those, but I think of how many people probably just heard that and maybe aspire to do something. And also knowing that you are a real goal setter and that you do spend time yourself and probably with your clients about setting those goals. Do you have a couple of tips on those people who maybe just haven't grappled with how to do that and how to do it in their lives? A couple of tips as to where to start to set some goals moving forward.
I mean, no, it doesn't matter if you're competing or not. You have to, one, have a vision, of what you want, and you also have to believe that it's going to happen. If you don't have those two things, you're not going to make it. So you have to visualize the success that you're going to make, and you have to believe in yourself as a person to take those steps and go that route. Whether you're going to have people trying to knock you down, pull you down, you might have a lot of stones to just step on. Those are learning experiences. And I've dealt with a lot of that just even opening up this gym that's been open for 10 years, which is insane. But you can't let the little things get in the way, because that's what will derail you from your full potential. I mean, that to me, it doesn't matter whether you're competing or you want to open a business, you want to write a book, you want to, whatever you want to do. I mean, you have to visualize and you have to believe. That's it.
Great. I mean, great advice, and I'm sure people will love to be able to follow you and find out more about you and what you're doing. I know you have a website, and I know you have lots of kind of stuff on socials. What are the best ways to be able to kind of follow what's happening with you over the next little while, Theresa?
So I'm very active on Instagram. So it's Ivancik _ IFBB Pro. I'm on Theresa Ivancik IFBB Pro on Facebook. Also on YouTube. Same things on Snapchat and TikTok. Things like those. I'm not that active and integrated with those. But my website is theresaivancik.com. It's the easiest way to kind of get a hold of me if you need, anything. You'll see all my services that I provide. I'm still working on relaunching my t-shirt apparel line too, which, I do want to get out there. But I'm here for, questions, that people have, like if I can help you, if I can help anybody, that's what I'm here to do.
Great. And what we will do is we'll make sure all those links are in the show notes as well. So if you haven't already, followed Theresa, make sure you do that. But also take a look at her website is great. Lots of great stuff on there and things to be able to follow, and lots of good videos to be able to connect through and learn more about it and what some of the advice that she can give as well. So if you haven't hit subscribe on the podcast here right now, make sure you do that. We have great people every week, just like Theresa. And again, you've given some great stuff, but really, it's quite interesting to hear kind of your journey and transition to get here. I think was pretty amazing. So thank you very much for being so open and talking about your story, Theresa. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm really glad I got to meet you.
All right. Well, us as well. And if for everybody else, make sure you tune in again. We will be coming back next week with another episode of Big Idea, Big Moves.